Lukedamniia 3 by John Plancombe. Narrated by John Plancombe. Chapter 1, August 20th, 2015. Hello again, this is John here, and today I will be playing Batman Arkham City, said John, and he went on Batman Arkham City on his PC, and there are 2 cans of Carling on his table, and he drank his can of Carling. Then he continued playing the game. In the game, he broke free of the cuffs and defeated the thugs. Then he got in his batsuit and he went to the courthouse to save Catwoman. And he tried to punch the thugs, but Two-Face shot him, and he lost. He tried it again, and he defeated the thugs. And he watched the cutscene where Joker tried to shoot Catwoman, and Batman asking Catwoman a question about Protocol 10. Okay, so I have to go to the church to see where the shot was. Is that correct? Asked John. And John, in the game, went to the church, and Harley Quinn and the thugs are right in front of him. Then Harley talks about Joker not feeling well, and Harley went out of the church while ordering the thugs to kill him if he does anything funny. John defeated all the thugs and saved the hostages, and he has found where the shot was. The church has blown up, and John went to the steel mill. Okay, I'm just gonna go up there. John used the grapple gun to go down the pipe, and he defeated the thugs and Mr. Hammer, and he watched the cutscene where Joker reveals that he injected his blood to Batman and everyone all over the city. But then the memories of Harry's death keeps flowing through him. Hold on, brother, Past John said. Everything will be okay. His past mother cries on her husband's shoulder. I'm sorry, the past doctor said. John snaps back into the present day. I think that is the end of the video, guys. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe and all that shit. So, goodbye. John stopped recording, and the tears are streaming down from his eyes. Please, just stop, sobbed John, and he drank his can of Carling heavily to block out his painful memories. Then, John uploaded his video on YouTube and titled it Playing Arkham City Part 1. John went on GTA 5, and in the game, John played as Trevor, and he did the Strangers and Freaks mission, where he shoot car tires, deers, satellite dishes, and coyotes with Cletus Ehring. And after he finished the mission, he went back to Los Santos. He used the invincibility cheat, and he used a machine gun to kill all the civilians. Then the police came, and John is shooting the cops. and the invincibility cheat has run out, and John, in the game, was shot by the cops. John pressed pause on the game, and he went downstairs, and he grabbed himself a can of Carling from the fridge. Then John went upstairs, and he continued playing GTA 5. John has chosen option C, and he played the mission, which is the third way. John went to the foundry and killed the FIB agents. Then John went out of the foundry and he killed the remaining FIB agents and the Merryweather forces. Then he shot the guy on the Ferris wheel, and there is a 2-star wanted level, and John must evade the police. Then he killed Cheng, and then he kidnapped Devon Weston in the back of a car, and he pushed it over the cliff, and the game has ended. John replayed the game, and in the game, he hung out with Michael for a drink. And after he did that, he drove his car really fast, and he crashed and died. Several hours later, the day transformed into night, and John is watching Markiplier playing Five Nights at Freddy's on his iPhone while laying on his bed. At 11:50 p.m., John charged his iPhone and slept. Chapter 2. The next day. John woke up at 7 a.m. He went downstairs and he made himself breakfast, which is bacon, tomatoes, mushrooms, and toast. He ate it all up. Then John went upstairs. He brushed his teeth. He got dressed into his Linkin Park t-shirt with grey jeans, a black belt, and black shoes. He played The Catalyst by Linkin Park on his iPhone, and he went outside. John waited for the bus, and the bus came, and John went in the bus. Then the bus drove off. While the bus is driving, John is looking at the window while still listening to The Catalyst by Linkin Park. The bus stopped at the bar, and John went in the bar. John went to the bartender. "Can I have a pint of whiskey?" asked John. The bartender poured a pint of whiskey, and she gave it to John. "Here you go," responded the bartender. John took his pint of whiskey to the table. He stopped playing The Catalyst by Linkin Park, and he drank his whiskey heavily. Then John went back to the bartender and asked, "Can I have 3 more pints of whiskey?" The bartender becomes worried for him, and she poured in 3 pints of whiskey. John took the 3 pints of whiskey to the table, and he drank the 3 pints heavily. Then John realized something. Every time he keeps drinking, his pain becomes even more worse. So John went out of a bar, and he went home. John called the therapist and asked, "Hey, can you help me with my drinking problem?" "All right, I'll be there in a moment. Bye." John hung up the phone. He went outside, and he went to therapy for alcoholics. He went in the therapy room, and the therapist was sitting on a chair. "Sit," she said. John sat down. "So, what is your name?" the therapist asked. "John Lukedamniia," John responded. "Now, I'm just gonna ask the questions, and you are gonna answer them. Understand that?" "Yes," responded John. "Now," returned the therapist, "what is your past?" John thought for a moment, and said, "I was born on January 1st, 1978, in Los Angeles, California. It was my 16th birthday in 1994, and me and my older brother Harry played Super Mario Bros. On the NES. And when I woke up the next morning, me and my dad went to Barnes & Noble to buy Dracula: An Interview with the Vampire. And when I got home, while I was reading my book, Harry had a little cough, and I told him if he was all right. He said he is fine, just a little cough." "Interesting," the therapist wrote down on a clipboard. "The next morning," John continued, "I told Harry that I can go to the arcade, and Harry allowed me to go. Then I played Dragon's Lair and Mortal Kombat, and I enjoy it even though it made me boil with anger. And while I went home, I heard Harry cough again. So I gave him a glass of water, and he was okay for now. The next morning, after I ate my cornflakes and drank my cup of nice coffee, Harry is coughing again, and he was coughing up blood. Me and my mum lifted him up and took him to the taxi, and we went to the hospital. Then Harry passed away sadly. And that is all I have to tell you." "Thank you, John," said the therapist. "Now tell me, when did your alcohol addiction start?" "My alcohol addiction started in 1996 because Harry's death really messed me up, and I thought drinking alcohol will help me cope with my pain, but I realized it doesn't. So, how can I make my pain go away?" "You can't make your pain go away, John. You can only learn from it. Do you know what shadow work is?" "No, I don't," replied John. "Well," the therapist continued, "shadow work is a very challenging practice where you look deep within yourself, and you can confront the aspects of yourself that are hidden and repressed. You can do this by journaling, meditation, or talking to yourself in the mirror. So, John, what would you choose?" "I choose to meditate," John replied. "Wonderful. Thank you for joining me for this session." "It has been a pleasure," the therapist responded. "You're welcome. John shook hands with her and went home. Chapter 3. John sat on the sofa in the living room, and he crossed his legs and meditated. In his mental landscape, John walked through an empty street at night, and there is a figure right in front of him, and he looks just like him. "Tell me who you are," John told him. "I am everything you have repressed deep within yourself. I am the side that you don't want to admit to anyone. And I am the monster living in the closet of your mind. I am your Jungian shadow self." The shadow replied. "Tell me, what emotion do you create within me?" he asked. "Fear, sorrow, despair, and grief," the shadow replied. "What are you trying to show me?" asked John. "I am trying to show you how to confront your pain. I am trying to show you what it means to be truly human. I am trying to show you how to unlock your true power. And I am trying to show you how to reach your full potential." The shadow responded. "Thank you, and I apologize for repressing you. It's just that I am so afraid of myself, and I want to drink so I will not be in pain anymore and not think of the memories of Harry's death. And I realized that you are not just my negative aspects. You are also my positive aspects as well, because you can help me confront my pain and make me feel better. So thank you," smiled John. Then John finally integrated and embraced his Jungian shadow self in a healthy way. And for the first time in his entire life, he felt balanced and whole and complete. The end.